I can't believe they finally brought it back. What's up, tennis fans? Sleepy Picks here. The ATP has created a fantasy tennis game on their website. You can sign up for it now. We're going to do a quick tutorial on how to create your team and how the points work and everything. Let's get started. So before we get started, guys, I'm sure you're wondering, what does he mean by they brought it back? I don't think I've ever seen a fantasy game before. Back when I was maybe like 20 years ago, they had a fantasy for WTA and ATP. It was run individually by a person, and it got so big that that person wasn't able to control and keep all the teams updated and everything. So they ended up just shutting it down, unfortunately. But I used to play in that, and that was so much fun to just get a team every single week and go through the tournaments. You're basically like looking at the draws, the same thing that we do here, looking at the draws and talking about who you like to advance through those draws and different situations for some of these guys. But anyways, we are going to build a team for the Barcelona and Munich week here. I'm going to start from scratch. I just wanted to give you guys a look. This is what the finalized team looks like. This is my Monte Carlo team. And yes, I know I have Alcaraz and Sinner on the same team. I wanted to see if there was a way for me to get both of these guys playing in the same team. And because, when you look at the Monte Carlo draw, you really felt like that was the eventuality. We were going to get to that Sinner Alcaraz final, finally getting to it. I felt like Zverev was going to make the semis and lose to Sinner once again. And I did feel like there was going to be a dark horse coming out of that Alcaraz draw. I didn't think that that was going to be as straightforward with Massetti coming out. He hasn't looked great, and he loses in the second round there. So I tried to hedge off with some of these guys. Wasn't able to get the right guy there, though. We had Tabilo loses in the second round to Lehecka in 3 sets. That's a tough one. Sorundolo loses in the second round. Griekspoor loses to Monfils in the first round. But we did have Fonseca getting out to the quarterfinals and Sinner and Alcaraz playing tomorrow. But let's start from scratch, and we'll talk about all the rules. Before we get started, there are two things that I want to note. Number one, this is a week by week competition, which means that every week you will have the ability to switch out your team members based on the tournaments occurring that week. Obviously, this week we have Munich and Barcelona going on, so I'm going to move my team around for those two tournaments. The reason I bring that up is because I had a couple of league members think that it was based on the season, a team for the clay season, a team for the grass season, a team for the hard court season. It's not. You can move them around based on week by week for the tournaments, which is really cool because obviously the more you follow, the more you pay attention, the better you should be at this game. Number two, you're only allowed 2 free switches every week. So once you hit save my team, according to some people, for me, I was given unlimited switches until the beginning of the Monte Carlo tournament. But what I'm hearing now is even if you started a brand new team and you're hitting save my team, you are then limited to the 2 free switches. And I assume that that's just a glitch with the rule in the system, just not being able to differentiate new members from existing members. So I assume they'll have that fixed, but just be warned, if you're creating a brand new team, don't hit save my team just yet until you are sure that that is the team that you want to go with for this week. The switches do carry over into the maximum of 8. So if you don't use your switches, you'll get those 2 rolled over again and again until you get to 8. Let's start from the beginning. You start with 100 coins budget, and if you look on the right of the screen, you're given an entire list of the players who are broken out and priced based on their ranking. So that's kind of why you're seeing guys, I'm sure like you guys are probably thinking, like, how is Bublik so low a price compared to somebody like Shelton? It's based on their ATP ranking. So just be aware that obviously Alcaraz, Sinner, the 2 highest priced guys, they're number 1 and number 2, and we go down so on and so forth. You have to create a team of 8 with those 100 coins. You can go under 100 if you end up you don't need to get to 100 exactly. Once you have that team of 8, you have to pick 6 guys that are going to start for that team. And that means they're going to be the guys that are going to score for that team that week. You're allowed 2 alternates. They will not be scored, but in the event that one of your starters withdraws last minute before the beginning of their first round match, the alternate will be plugged in and their score will be added to your total. So go ahead and pick your team. And once you have your team picked, let's move on to the next part. Let's talk about points and bonuses. For the points, they will be rewarded to the player based on their rankings points awarded for each tournament. So it's pretty simple. If the player wins a 250, you get 250 points. If the player wins a Master Series 1000, you get 1000 points, and so on and so forth with your finalists, semis, quarters, whatever. They also have some additional point scoring props where if your player hits an ace, for every ace they hit, they get +2. For every straight set win that they have, they get +10. For every upset they have, they get +20. Upset is a lower ranked player beating a higher ranked player. Conversely, if the player loses, they also get tacked if for every double fault they have is -2. For every bageled set they have is -10. And for every time that player's upset, they get -20. So again, higher ranked player losing to the lower ranked player. So if you think about that bagel, with that Medvedev match, that would have been -20 there. It would have been the higher ranked player, I think, losing that match. So that would have been -40. So whoever had Medvedev, that's a tough go. The bonus ball player is your one player that you're going to choose to get twice as many points for that week. Every week you can switch out your bonus ball player. My bonus ball player for this week for Monte Carlo is Carlos Alcaraz. It's probably going to be him again for next week as well. So if he wins the Masters Series, the Monte Carlo Masters, he will get 2,000 points total. Now they also have 3 chips, is what they call them. And those are the 3 things listed at the top. You have alternates, triple bounce, and swing switch. Alternates, if you choose this for that week, all of your alternates can score points. So not only will you have your team of starting 6 scoring, your 2 alternates points will be added to your score total as well. Triple bounce is your bonus ball will be counted ×3 as opposed to ×2. So you see my triple bounce is in gray because I chose triple bounce for Alcaraz this week. So being a little bit aggressive, trying to test out those chips and see how everything works. We'll see how it goes. Swing switch is you are allowed 8 free switches without penalty. So in the event that maybe you want to make a huge switch to your team, you can click that and you'll be allowed 8 switches without a penalty. All right, let's go to creating a team. And here's a look at the team that I made for this week. I'll go through each of the guys. Alcaraz, obviously, I think he's going to win the Barcelona Open. I put him as my bonus ball player. I trust him a little bit more than Zverev to win that match, to win that tournament. Zverev, I think, is going to win Munich again. He looked very good last year in this tournament. Has the home crowd advantage. The crowd's going to be cheering for him. They'll be on his side. Picked Arthur Fils. I think he's got a chance to make it out to the semis or maybe even the finals. He's got a pretty nice draw. We just got to see how he looks. This is a little bit risky picking a guy that, we haven't seen him just yet on the clay, but he did have a good clay season last year. So I expect him to kind of pick up his game here on the clay. Cerundolo could potentially meet Zverev in the quarterfinals of Munich. Obviously, with only 2 switches allowed, I can't move another guy. But the way that I looked at it is Cerundolo, at the very worst, if he makes it out to the quarters and beats Zverev, then I get the bonus points for that upset and Cerundolo advancing. I do think that quarter of the draw is much harder than the bottom quarter of that semi. So I think whoever wins between, if it's Cerundolo and Zverev, whoever wins that is going to be able to get out to the finals. It would be either Darderi or Cobolli seated in the bottom quarter of that semi. Fonseca, he plays Tabilo. I got Tabilo. I moved Tabilo out. I didn't like the idea of hedging, one or the other. I think both are great clay court players, but I got to trust that Fonseca is going to get the job done here, beating Tabilo. He's done it before already this season. I think he will do it again. And Greek Sport, I gotta hope that he's going to be able to get out of this quarter here. I think he's going to beat Chapo. I think it's going to be a tough match. He's in a must-win scenario here. Then he would play Marijan or Tsitsipas, and I kind of like him there in that matchup. Then he gets out to play Bublik in the quarterfinals, and that's going to be a very tricky match for him. But a match that he does have the ability to win, and he's beaten Bublik already this year, so we could see maybe an upset there. I kind of like keeping him around just for another week. If I get burned again, then I'm done. I'm off Greek Sport. He's gonna be my first guy shipped out there. And then my 2 alternates, I have Merida, who is alive in the qualifiers right now. He had a great run in Bucharest, and I have Engel, who home crowd advantage for him. He plays Kopriva. I don't think he really gets through that match, but again, alternates not going to score any points for me. Not going to use any of my chips this week because it's only 2 500s. I expect to use them maybe for the next Master Series or for Roland Garros. I'll have to make those decisions when they come to it. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can start your own fantasy team at atptour.com, or you can just Google ATP Tour Fantasy, and that'll take you right to the page so you can create your own team. Comment if you got any other questions about creating your team. I'll have, in the next video, I'll have a link for our league, or at least a code for the league. If you guys want to join and compete with the rest of us, that would be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.